Now I call Dr. Nawazish. She'll be speaking on clinical features, systemic associations, and management of pediatric uveitis in North Indian cohort.
So good evening, everyone. So as we know, pediatric uveitis comprises about 10 to 20% of all cases of uveitis, and the focus is because they have etiological differences as compared to adults. Besides etiological differences, there could be differences in the management because as we know, long-term corticosteroid therapy in children is harmful. It prevents growth, it causes growth disturbances, it causes suppression of the hypothalamic pituitary axis, and all these complications for the child is very dangerous. So with this in mind, we planned the following study in which we intended to describe the clinical manifestations, understand the systemic associations, and how could we manage these children in our cohort. So what we did was we have something known as a conjoined clinic where we have a pediatric rheumatologist who joins us, and these patients are then reviewed. At the same time, any patient who presents with systemic rheumatological disorders such as joint pain are referred to us for uveitic screening. So we included all such patients who were aged less than 18 years, who had systemic rheumatological disorders, who were sent for screening, as well as any patient of age less than 18 years that presented to our OPD or our clinic with uveitis. So we had a total of 93 children recruited with unilateral uveitis in 16, bilateral in 53. So a total of 122 eyes were affected with uveitis, while 24 patients had no uveitis. The mean age of our group was 9.4. Their visual acuity at presentation and last follow-up, the p-value was insignificant. Minimum of 3 months of follow-up was done. The anatomical classification, according to that, anterior uveitis was the most common, followed by panuveitis and intermediate and then posterior uveitis. In our cohort of patients that had no uveitis, they had JIA in 9 out of 24, whereas 12 patients were referred because they had idiopathic joint pain. The rheumatologist wanted us to inspect the eyes so that they could come with a diagnosis. And 2 patients had Blau syndrome, whereas 1 had sarcoidosis. When I come to systemic associations in patients with anterior uveitis, the most common systemic association, as we all know, was JIA. However, a large part of our cohort could not be diagnosed to have a systemic association. So they were idiopathic, and we had others in the form of Blau, sarcoidosis, Behçet's, and IBD associated. When it comes to intermediate and posterior uveitis, all patients in our cohort were idiopathic. When I come to panuveitis, again, a large part was idiopathic, but we had 5 out of 16 who had Blau syndrome and 2 out of 16 who had pediatric VKH. So coming to management, all these patients were treated according to the anatomical site. So if they had anterior uveitis, they were just treated on topical steroids and then tapered unless and until there were changes such as BSK suggestive of prolonged inflammation. Whereas those patients with intermediate panuveitis and posterior uveitis, they required systemic corticosteroid therapy, and those that did not respond or those that required prolonged systemic therapy, corticosteroid therapy, such as those with systemic associations or who had poor response or were steroid responders, were switched to immunomodulators as well as biologicals as and when needed. So of all our cohort, we had 57 patients on immunomodulators, out of which 50 were on methotrexate, 5 were on sulfasalazine, 1 was on azathioprine, and 1 was on mycophenolate mofetil. Among those that were on methotrexate, 22 were with idiopathic uveitis, 16 with JIA, 8 with Blau syndrome. So total 8 patients of Blau syndrome were seen in our cohort, 2 patients of pediatric VKH, and 1 in Behçet's and 1 in IBD associated. Among these, 32 patients were then started on anti-TNF alpha, of which 31 were on adalimumab and 1 was on infliximab. When I come to subgroup analysis of this, among those on adalimumab therapy or anti-TNF alpha therapy, 11 were with JIA, 9 in idiopathic uveitis, and all 8 of our cohort of Blau syndrome required adalimumab therapy. The outcomes were that at the time of the final examination, visual acuity less than 3 by 60 was defined as blindness. That is the world global criteria. All children, we had some 8.6% with blindness in our cohort, and all these children at presentation had that visual acuity of less than 3 by 60. So during our follow-up, none of these patients improved beyond 3 by 60. However, the others that were better than 3 by 60 did not deteriorate into the blindness category during our follow-up, which is, I think, the most important when it comes to pediatric uveitis. The stability that we can provide with immunomodulators and anti-TNF alpha. So my conclusion is anterior uveitis is most common. They have BSK, they have posterior sinus K, and pediatric uveitis is more common with systemic associations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nawazish. That was a very interesting presentation. Any comments?
I just want to know why you have taken 18. 16 is the clear figure.
So although 16 is pediatric, and that is how studies define them, in the pediatric rheumatology department, all those children who were diagnosed as JIA initially and were being followed up till 18 years were also being sent to us. So just to make it a little easy to keep them in the study as well, so we kept it as 18 because we were screening those children also, those apparently children.
Okay, you had methotrexate for a majority of cases.
Yes, sir.
So was that by choice, or you had some kind of criteria that which one to give, which medication?
So for us, we had a pediatric rheumatologist with us. We have something called a conjoint clinic. So they usually take the call when, although if up to me, methotrexate is the most commonly used agent for children. They have a very good safety and efficacy when it comes to using, even for long term, such as patients who have undergone kidney transplant. It has the maximum available data for safety and efficacy available.
So what were the criteria for the rest of the cases?
So in case methotrexate did not work, so those patients that were on sulfasalazine were patients with ankylosing spondylitis who did not have uveitis. So usually in those patients, sulfasalazine, as for ankylosing spondylitis, it's the first line of treatment. Those patients that were there on azathioprine and mycophenolate, they were only two. They were switched from methotrexate to mycophenolate mofetil, that is as per the FAST trial, which says that neither methotrexate nor mycophenolate is one above the other, but they can be used interchangeably. Better to shift to methotrexate when you're using mycophenolate mofetil, although you can do the other way around as well.
Okay. Thank you.